Everyone, thank you for joining us today. I'm Baroness Bree, and welcome to today's episode of Fabulous Fuckery. Today, I'm joined by Blerdcon CEO and con father, Hilton George.
Hello.
Hello, that was dry.
It's my first podcast.
Okay, well, thank you for coming. Let me tell you guys a little bit about Hilton. He's the father and I call you con father.
I'm hearing this.
But he's the founder and convention chairman for Blerdcon, the Black Nerd Convention held in Arlington, Virginia, each summer to celebrate blerd culture, diversity, and inclusion in cosplay, comics, anime, sci-fi, and gaming. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for inviting me.
Guys, so in case you don't know, I'm a huge blerd. I never really considered blerd to be a word until I heard about Blerdcon. So blerd is a black nerd. And can you give us a little definition on that word?
Well, it is exactly that. And it is a sub-community within the larger nerd community across all fandoms, where many of us who have been in the shadows, who have been in the background, who have quietly enjoyed nerd things for our entire lives, are starting to come together in this age of social media where we're able to connect without actually having to go out and be social and talk to one another.
Right.
And these communities are starting to form where we are supporting one another. We are finding out there are more of us like us. And we are starting to enjoy the convention space. We're starting to enjoy a bigger role in all the different fandoms of gaming, anime, cosplay, sci-fi, and music now. And it's the next big thing. And we're trying to make sure that we are here to serve that community and show how great and wonderful and fabulous we are when we are doing what we do.
Well, your con actually is a little different because it's very inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
So for everyone who's not aware, Blerdcon is an amazing space in Arlington, Virginia. It's being hosted. What's our dates for this year?
July 12th through the 14th this summer, 2019.
It is a very inclusive space. I have never seen so many diverse groups come together in cosplay. You've actually opened it up, I feel like, for a lot of the other cons to make groups feel welcome. Because, we had Nerdtino. We had the lesbian, gay.
LGBTQ.
Yes, thank you. They are amazing. And their cosplays, they bring it every time. And it is just, you have made people feel comfortable in your space.
Well, what it really is it's intersectionality. These are, we aren't just two things. We aren't just black and nerd. I always call it black, nerd, and. Mm-hmm. And whatever that and is, you could be Afro-Latina, you could be mixed, biracial, you could be disabled, you could be a member of the LGBT community, or all of the above. And when you're putting together a convention where people are coming together and are trying to indulge and trying to validate the entire nerd, you put a little bit of everything in there for them. And for us, I'm not a member of the LGBT community, so it would be inauthentic for me to come forth and just say, well, from my perch, I will put forth this programming that's relevant to this community that I'm not a member of. Same thing for the Latina community, and same thing for the disabled community. So we bring in these other groups to come in and put some content together so that, people feel like there is a depth to the experience and a recognition of the depth of the individuals within the blerd community. And being intersectional is one thing, but also being open so that it's inclusive for people outside of the blerd community come and see an event where the black nerd demographic is the main thing on the menu. And they see the artists and the guests and the musicians and the vendors and the cosplayers, which are a huge part of Blerdcon, and we have a great time.
You got some big guests coming this year. Who we got so far?
Oh my gosh, I am beyond excited. So let's start from the cosplayers. The cosplayers are really great. We've got out of Chicago, we've got Papa Bear Cosplay. He and his daughter do these amazing cosplays. He's an amazing builder. He is one of the leaders of the POC cosplay community in Chicago. So a lot of the Midwest, Black nerd community are really excited that we're reaching west, and not just north or south.
Okay.
We also have Sin Von Quinzel. She is Afro-Latina out of New York. She is fantastic, and if you've ever seen her work, she's amazing in crafting and makeup and all of those great things out of New York. We have Cutie Pie Sensei, who is coming out of Atlanta, and her work is amazing as well. I mean, she is doing armor build, she's doing fashion, she is doing makeup. I mean, she just really, really brings it. So that trifecta there is going to be amazing just on the cosplay alone. But the guests that are coming this year. So we have got, and I'm going to start with the last person we just signed. Okay, you stay in your seat. Okay, don't you run a lap when I say
okay.
This. We just signed Bo Billingsley as a guest for Blerdcon, right? So if you know about Bo Billingsley, he has voiced video games from Final Fantasy to Street Fighter. He has done, he was Jet, Jet Black from Cowboy Bebop. He's been on Star Trek. He's been behind the scenes on so much of what we know for the last 20 years in the sci-fi and anime community. And it's just such an honor just to have him on board. Okay. We've got the Samurider out of London. She is coming, the Samurider with all of her martial arts.
She's badass.
Oh, she really is.
Yeah.
She really is. We're so excited. This will be her first convention in the States.
Ooh.
She's never done a convention in the United States, so we will all see her for the first time.
Awesome. Okay.
And that's just going to be amazing. Nice. And the one, the only, Rachel True. Yes, she is coming to Blerdcon this year. You guys might remember there was a little dust up about the fact that she was not getting booked to be a part of the reunion for The Craft.
Correct.
And this is a 4-person cast for this film.
Yep.
And she was not getting recognized. She was not getting drawn in. And she was vocal about it, rightfully so.
Yes.
And we got tagged a lot. We got sent a lot. And I said, okay, we got to make this happen. So I made some phone calls, reached out to her people, and she is going to come out. She's going to be doing panels. She's going to be doing workshops. She's going to be signing autographs, taking pictures. She's a gem.
People are excited, because she was in Half Baked, and people like it's Rachel Chase Cobb.
She means so much.
She means a lot, and not only that, she looks exactly the same age.
Yeah, she's a vampire.
She looks the same.
Or a Highlander. Either way, it's either one. Pick your poison. Whatever makes her live forever, she does look exactly the same.
50 years old, looks amazing. Wouldn't look a day past 25.
No.
I'm excited to see her. I'm going to have to harass her. I'm excited. I don't know. You guys are just doing the Blerd nerds, our dream life. This is, how much work do you think how much of your life would you say you're spending to put this con together every year?
Half.
Okay.
Everything is divided by half.
Okay.
And I don't want to take any direct credit, because one of the things that the work is doing is just putting the space together. And creating the layout and the rhythm and the pace and the background and the platform. What brings that feeling that everybody comes away with comes from the attendees and the community and how they use that space and how they interact in that space. And the year one, you never really know what's going to happen. If you build an office building or you build a mall or you don't know what's going to happen when the people walk in the door. You can anticipate, you can guess.
Year one was... So this year will be year 3.
This will be year 3, yes.
So, and I feel like it's happened more than just 3 times, to be honest with you, because, my kids, my oldest was very shy and very closed off. And Blerdcon came right after his father and I had started our divorce process. And anime was his escape from the foolishness that was his real life. And I was like, hey, it's this thing coming up. It's called Blerdcon. It's $40. You want to go? So we're like, yeah, whatever. I'll get a room. Nah. And, we stayed up for 3 days. We did not sleep. We had Red Bull. We were running around. The little one I think he's probably like 9 at the time. He's like, what the hell? What's wrong with y'all? And we're like, yeah, Blerd stuff. And, and they have a 24-hour anime screening room, which is hosted by the DC Anime Club and Chris. And, the kids were like, we get to watch anime all night. And I'm like, because after dark it turns into...
More adult material kicks in after midnight.
Yeah, Blerd After Dark starts around 11:30. But, the kids really got to see other people who look like them, that enjoyed the same things as them. from our experience, because your mom watches anime, she's a weirdo, and then you're like, oh, Dragon Ball Z is actually kind of hot, maybe she's on to something. That's my gateway drug for everyone. If you've never watched anime, the pacing is a little slow in the older ones, but stick with me. After the 65th episode is going to get to the point. But just taking them out there. Now he speaks Japanese, so the oldest is taking it next level. He speaks Japanese.
Yeah, I remember you told me that, yeah.
He's like hardcore into Japanese rock music.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell? He's deeper than I am. He, every day he wants some type of new ramen or go to some new noodle bar and get some kind of new sushi dish. So
he's part of that new world.
He is for real otaku.
Oh, my God.
Like, this is like, it's hardcore. So Katsucon the other day was his dream life.
So he was just going crazy.
It was so many people. It was an amazing con. So KatsuCon is a con that's at the Gaylord Hotel in National Harbor. They hold it every year. I think it's like the 20th year.
Something like that.
So yes, it at 25th
25,
next.
yes,
I think it's
yes.
25. So it has just grown, and if you want to see some amazing builds, I saw some costumes this weekend that I have no idea how much it cost, nor was I scared to ask.
Oh, Katsu has a personality. So whatever it is that you have conventions that kind of fall into these lanes, these grooves, if you will, and the community kind of channels themselves into these various grooves. So, for instance, MagFest is kind of known for the gaming, not quite as cosplay heavy, even though it's in the same venue and it's got a lot of the same components. KatsuCon is known as a cosplay con, so people bring like those builds that, I don't know how you got that on the plane. I don't know where you put that.
How did you get through security?
Right. It's just you were literally
that gun looks really real.
Exactly,
I saw a knife that I'm like, sir. He's like, it's got a tag. It's not real. I'm like, I need your tips, and because now I'm at the point where I want to learn how to build. So I'm gonna take a couple panels this year, learning how to do some foam builds. Because it's starting to get expensive to buy everything.
Exactly.
And I'd
Commissions
rather
cost.
Well, and I appreciate that, but all of a sudden I turned into from super Halloween girl, because I love Halloween. I love doing makeup. I did like Iron Woman a few years ago, like red eyebrows and like gold, and it was a hot mess, but it was fun. And now it's gone from showing up at the first year Blerdcon with like a t-shirt on and some Hot Topic shorts. Like I'm a Blur.
You brought your cosplay game last year. Don't downgrade yourself.
That was my first year cosplaying.
Well, lowercase c. You were cosplaying in the year before, but you were casual cosplay.
Yeah, it was casual.
And that's the thing. It's a thing now to casual cosplayers. People who actually go out and they construct their fashion based on the geek aesthetic. That's and so true. They might have a tie that's nerdy or a shirt
Yeah.
within the business wear that you might wear during the day. So people who know will know and they'll notice. But people who don't really know and aren't plugged in won't really even. That's not even a discussion topic. But you did bring cosplay in year 2. So.
Well, thank you. We're trying. We got some surprises for. I got a lot of.
Okay.
Well, apparently I'm going to Awesome Con and I'm going to be running a con. Yeah, like where do all these cons come from? And my real. So Blerdcon is like, yay, Blerdcon, and then it's like. A con on drugs is Dragon Con.
Yeah, that's like the Mardi Gras of conventions. Literally, because half of it's outside.
It's crazy.
It's in between 7 hotels. It's in downtown Atlanta. They're running on 33 or 34 years going now.
Good Lord.
100,000 people. That actually was the model for Blerdcon's 10-year plan.
Okay.
The Hyatt Crystal City sits right at the lower end, right next to the airport. It's right in the armpit, if you will, of D.C.
It is.
And there are no residents there. There's one temporary residence behind us, the Concord. Everything else is government and corporate businesses. So after about 4:30 on a Friday, everyone scatters.
Correct.
So all the parking decks empty out, all the hotels empty out. So for us, the idea is that with the Hyatt Crystal City, which, by the way, housed KatsuCon during one of its inception stages. It didn't start there, but it was there for a year or two, and then it outgrew and went to the Gaylord. Otakon was there before they went to Baltimore.
Okay.
Anime USA was there before it went to the Wardman Park, Marriott. MagFest was there for a year.
Well, I'm just going to tell you, Blerdcon is about to outgrow.
That's going to happen probably sooner than we planned. Yeah. And when it does happen, instead of doing what the other conventions did and left, we're we're actually going to take the party across the street. So we will have a multi-hotel layout. So you'll have your host hotel, the Hyatt, but we'll do stuff maybe in the Courtyard Marriott and the Residence Inn and the Renaissance.
Nice.
So you'll have this moving area, you know, and God forbid if it rains or something, but that's...
It's
you know,
fine. It
exactly.
works.
You know, we'll make it work.
It's fine.
So that's what we're hoping to have happen with Blerdcon going forward.
So, with all this cosplay, blerdiness, you got a day job, you know, it's starting to take over your world. What are you doing to take care of yourself? What is your self-care practice?
Quiet.
Okay.
Quiet is where I'm able to, you know, kind of coalesce my thoughts. Sleep, very important. Hydration, very important. Nutrition is important. And these are little micro choices that you can make during the day to just keep yourself alive. If you're looking at buying a bottle of, you know, Coca-Cola versus a bottle of water, you just make the choice for the water, especially when you're in the con space and you're running around and you're talking and that kind of stuff. You know, if you have an opportunity to get some fried chicken fingers or, you know, a veggie burger, if you have that option, you take it.
We
and over the
do
long
better
term,
with,
it does.
we need better con food.
Yeah, well, we've got a solution for that.
Okay.
We've got a food truck rally.
That is true. You did have a food truck rally last year.
Yeah, but it's going to be a rally.
Whatever those, it was a snow cone truck out there last year.
Yeah, people went crazy over the snow cone. I didn't know that they were going to bring it like that.
They had a contest where you ordered this $30 snow cone, and if you didn't eat it, you had to pay for it. And then after you pay for it, you got a T-shirt that said "I failed" or something like that. So, and I can't find this truck. I need them in my life because they had some flavors that I just went back to my room and added some rum to it. Oh, and
this is not sanctioned by Blerdcon.
Not
rum
sanctioned
in your food.
I'm a grown ass woman, and if I want liquor, I want liquor. So
You know what we're gonna do is. So all the trucks that were there last year, and I think there was 3. We had 1 the first year. We had 3 year 2. The barbecue truck will be back, by the way, and that barbecue event on Saturday will happen. But we're going to have, you know, a wide variety of trucks. Right now, we've got 8 lined up.
Cool.
We're hoping to get as many as 15.
Okay.
And that'll run the entirety of the con. So if you want to have, you know, bar food at the convention hotel bar or the restaurant, totally fine. They have great food at the Crystal City Hyatt. However, if you want to step outside and get some of the DC Metro's finest food trucks, you know, it's good weather. It's right around the corner. It's like you walk right behind the Hyatt, and it's a big parking lot where we had the barbecue and everything. And you'll be able to get food around the clock. That's our plan. So, you know, hopefully you'll make good choices. You won't put as much rum in your...
Well, I can't do too much because, you know, I got the kids. I got the kids. So.
One's about to be grown. He's babysitting age. You say watch your brothers.
I know, but you know,
a couple hours.
Con space is different.
That's true.
Because everyone's running wild. They're exposed to parts of the female anatomy they've never seen in person before. So, you know, cons are a good place to teach kids no means no and consent, because just because a woman looks sexy doesn't mean she wants you, doesn't mean she's interested in talking to you. She just really wants a bunch of pictures for her Instagram. So, you know, she wants to be her character and everything in cosplay, but they don't, you know, just because she's dressed that way is not an invitation for...
I would say that that's not just for the young people. You know, I'm thinking that there are a whole strata of black nerds and nerds in general who have not had the opportunity to either be in the con space around women who are dressed in a lot of cosplays, can be a little risque. And you have to have these learned behaviors. That's why we have signage everywhere. Where you say cosplay is not consent, hands to yourself, ask someone their pronouns, you know. So you can almost, like when you're driving, we try to treat it like a highway. You may know exactly how to get here every day, but I still put Waze app in just in case, so I can get the signage, say that's where the exit is, this is the stop sign. I know this is intersection. I could just know to stop, but they put a sign there anyway. So, you know, we kind of create this space where, you know, if you follow the signs and you kind of keep an eye on how people are behaving, right, you can normalize your interactions with almost anybody in a respectful environment where, you know, people are, you know, not as scantily clad as you might even find at a pool.
No, exactly.
But because you're not at the pool and you're indoors, it sometimes takes on a different...
well, and the way putting it at the pool is the perfect way to describe it, because also we have a lot of people who don't get outside. So, you know, the one thing, because the conversation I have with my kids personally every couple of weeks is, hey guys, when you're talking to a woman, what's the plan? And they're like, what? And, are you being respectful? Are you, acknowledging she may not, do you know the warning signs that a woman does not want to be spoken to or not interested in you? And, there's a way for you to handle that. So we had some experiences last year on what not to do that my children witnessed. So we have used those as learning opportunities versus me going full on crazy woman. Oh, thank you so much for your interest. However, these are my 2 small children. How are you? And, my son's not a small child. He's taller than me.
He's like 6'5".
He's not 6'5".
He's like 13 years old, and he's like
7.
Matumbo. I'm like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. I'm a grown man. I'm shaking this child's hand, looking up, and he's like, hi, Mr. Hilton. Like, oh, my God.
One gentleman actually pushed him out the way. He's like, I was talking to her first. And he's like, oh, that's my mom. I just need some money so I can go to the food truck. And so
I remember that story, yes.
It's definitely been an interesting situation. But blurred life aside, I got a question for you. Are you excited for all the Marvel stuff about to happen?
Excited isn't the word. This is my childhood come to life, and I am a first generation nerd. So there's nobody else in my family who's even remotely plugged into any of this. I am dragging all of my family with me on my nerd journey through the MCU, kicking and screaming.
Okay.
So if I make them see things in sequence, they don't understand why they can't see, one movie before the other. I said, because these are all progressive stories. They're self-contained movies that build on a larger narrative. I remember reading Infinity War.
Yep.
And just like, oh my God, the concept of the Infinity Stones, and this, you would never think that this is something that would make its way to the screen. Yeah. And when you're watching it on the screen, there's this nostalgia. You're an adult, but you're also a child.
Yep.
Sitting in the theater. You're gripping the seats and you're cheering madly, and you're like, oh my God,
sobbing controllably on the shoulder of a stranger.
Couple thug tears.
No, that was I was when Spider-Man didn't make it. And spoiler alert! If you haven't seen it
by now, this is not
what?
A spoiler. This is shaming.
Yeah,
this
pretty much.
Shaming.
If you haven't seen it by now, I've seen it 6 times, 7 times, probably more than that. But when Spidey didn't, and he, Mr. Stark, the poor man next to me, and I'm holding on to, and he's my baby. Tom Holland is one of the best Spider-Mans that they could have ever casted.
Was a good casting choice.
I love him. And when they killed my baby, I wasn't right. And when I first started recording here, he had a Spider-Man blanket that was on the table to absorb the sound. And I was like, this is where I'm supposed to record. They got Spider-Man.
Oh, my gosh.
With Infinity War, and then we got Captain Marvel, and she going to come do her thing. And it's interesting to me because you realize how many people don't know anything about Marvel. And Black Panther was the first entryway to a lot of black people to learning about Marvel.
Drug for so many blurs who had not plugged in.
And, it's like, because, the Black Panther party that we went to for the premiere, there were people dressed up like they were from Zumanda.
Which one did you go to? One at Alexandria?
It was on Alexandria.
I was there.
Okay.
This was the one that was put on by the
Tommy Collins.
Yes, yeah. I didn't know you were there.
Yeah, I was there.
I brought the cosplayers, and we had a big backdrop for Blerdcon, so we co-sponsored that. And funny story. So I went all out for it. Like you see my black and gold dashiki.
Yeah.
So that came handmade from Ghana. I really, really went out for it. And I pulled up early, obviously, because I'm coordinating, parts of it, and I'm getting there beforehand. And I'm at my car, and I didn't want to drive in it, so I'm changing, in the open door passenger side, getting into it. And I put on my little sash, and I'm looking at myself in the mirror. It's like, man, I might be just. I'm going to step out here, and folks are going to just have some Black Panther T-shirts on, and I'm going to be totally over the top, and they're going to be, oh, this guy, right? So I come around the corner, and it looked like the opening wedding scene from Coming to America. There was kente cloth, hat wraps, there was dashikis
there were
everywhere, drummers. I was like, and I was sitting there like, okay, maybe I didn't bring enough. Maybe I need to go back to the car, throw some more stuff on. Yeah. Oh, it was amazing watching. And, the really cool thing, that there was an Asian family there that were wearing dashikis. And you have to remember, this is African culture, not African-American culture,
right.
Even though we take ownership.
Right.
Now, there was a couple of brothers that were part of the organizing committee with the city representative. And so what happened was all the African-Americans didn't know what to do. Like, is this, appropriation? Is this So we look over at the guys from Kenya and Ghana, and we're like, what do we do? This is like, hey, if they came to Ghana wearing regular T-shirts, we would put those on them when they got off the plane. Like that's so this is totally fine. It's not ceremonial. We're like, oh, okay. So we all relaxed. They were like, all right. And it was just this big open event. You know. So we just had a blast with it, and I cry every time I see the movie.
But I'm so excited. I mean, it's the most beautiful. The black people just killed it. I mean,
didn't they?
I'm just excited for the, we got the Oscars. They're nominated.
That's Sunday, isn't it?
Yes, sir. So it's. I'm excited, and I'm so proud to be this nerdy girl who grew up on this crap. And it's like y'all get to see my stuff that I already knew about. So now people call me. I'm about to get teary-eyed because I really love this stuff. And what's funny is that people call me and they're like, Bree, what's about to happen? And I'm like, nope, I don't want to tell you.
All right.
You need to read. You need to figure it out. So like Brie Larson playing Captain Marvel. People are like, oh, I don't see it for her.
Like, you haven't read the comic book.
You've never read the comic.
You have no idea.
I think she's going to kill it. I hope she kills it. I have a Ms. Marvel costume in works that should be here.
The early reviews are that it's stellar.
Oh, it's about to be. It has to be stellar because they're following in the Russo brothers' footsteps, setting the steps for
Phase 4.
Phase 4, and if they can stick to the comics, and I think the Russos will, everyone's going to be amazed by what's going to happen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then the fact that they just were acquired by Disney, and if you notice, Disney's starting to pull all their stuff off of Netflix.
They're going to have their own streaming service.
They're going to have their own service. Because, that's where you go to watch Black Panther. It's on Netflix. Oh, I don't have it. So, if you don't have the movies, start buying them because Disney is coming for their coins. They made a huge investment in Marvel. Marvel is a money maker. As you go to Disney World, Marvel cities are going to start popping up. I'm waiting because they set up the Star Wars.
They better not do Wakanda. I will move to Orlando.
Oh, I'm already ready.
I will take a job.
I'm like, what can I do to work in Florida? Because they already built the Star Wars city, so that's coming. I think in the fall.
Yeah.
And they got the Harry Potter
world, yeah.
And I haven't been, so I have a whole list of nerdy. So now I can go to Disney World. I can do It's a Small World After All, and then go play in Wakanda. I'm never going to leave if that's the case.
You're not. Your kids are going to be outside homeless looking for their mom.
No, they'll
she
be
went
home.
in and she never came
There'll
out.
be a home somewhere, but they're starting to see the vision of what this sci-fi nerd anime. Because there's a restaurant in Florida that is actually a Goku ramen shop.
Really?
I want to say it's outside of Orlando, but you can go in there and they have it all set up like, Goku was always eating in Dragon Ball Z. It's set up, you can go eat ramen like Goku.
Wow.
So the culture is really starting to be mainstream.
And that's what I really love about this era. I remember being in elementary school, middle school, and even high school trying to explain to what you may call normies or muggles or whatever the term is, why are you so excited about this comic? And you try to explain within the context of one comic what's happened before and what it implies later, and trying to physically or verbally take people on that journey while you're just sitting there never ever worked. And until you were able to get someone either to actually buy it and start reading the comics, I'd bring people to my house. I'm like, okay, here's Fantastic Four, 100. They're going into the negative zone. This is a perfect place to start. Paul Smith just came off of X-Men, and Chris Claremont is, be like, all right, this is a read. Let me shut up. And then they would get into it. But now you have this vehicle in the movies, which is not totally faithful to the canon, which is fine because it gives us comic book nerds something to anticipate. If it were just writing directly from the comic into the screen, then we wouldn't have anything to expect.
Right.
But they are rewriting the canon, and what's happening is what they're putting on the movie screen and in the TV shows and on the Netflix stuff and the animated movies is becoming the new canon in the comic books. They're all bringing it together, and that was the Disney way.
Yep.
They got a whole department over at Disney that their only job is to keep everybody in line.
Yep.
To make sure that nobody gets ahead of anybody's stories and nobody does something that's this way on that episode. And
they kind of needed that management because Stan was kind of letting people do their own thing. Rest in peace, Stan. But, it was kind of like Thor Ragnarok. A beautiful movie, one of my favorite Thor movies. Who thought that you were going to get like a buddy fun film from
Thor and could be funny.
Yeah, Thor and the Incredible Hulk, like whatever.
Thor was never funny in the comic, but okay.
But they did a great job with it, and so we're going to segue for a second. How do we feel about DC?
Well, I think that it is a widely agreed upon fact. I use that word very, very directly. Fact that DC, up until now at least, just has made better animated movies, and Marvel has made better cinematic movies.
That's fair.
I think what is happening is that DC is seeing what Marvel has done. And I think the mistake that they made, and I'm calling it a mistake, with Justice League was that we had almost a decade before Infinity War. Mm-hmm. We were Hulk and we were Iron Man, and we knew it was building towards something, but we didn't, we weren't really sure what it was or how they were going to get there or how long it was going to take, but we knew that there was an end destination, and we waited 10 years in the parade. Yep. And at the end of the parade, we had fireworks, mm-hmm. which is the way it should be. Mm-hmm. What DC did is that they tried to put the fireworks ahead of the parade. Right? So you had, 2 movies?
Yeah.
You had Batman v Superman, you had Wonder Woman, mm-hmm. And those were kind of the only ones that were building that storyline. Yeah. And then they went straight to Justice League. And they introduced everybody for the first time onto the screen.
Well, we had the Green Lantern movie.
Yeah, did we though?
Listen, it existed. So just because the movie failed doesn't mean it existed.
But it wasn't building toward
It didn't build toward anything. It was a
self-contained movie.
All of their movies are self-contained. They don't think about all of that. So I agree with you on that. But just I want to remind Ryan Reynolds for the 80th time that movie still exists.
He did it, and I think that everyone's feelings about that movie can be encapsulated in the post-credit scenes for Deadpool 2.
Oh, absolutely.
we're kind of like, okay, he said, just try not to make the suit animated. And they did exactly that.
But he killed it with Deadpool. But, he had to come to Marvel
no pun intended.
To let his personality shine through, because DC is kind of limited in the like you said, the live action. If he was Green Lantern, the cartoon, voicing a cartoon, I think it would have killed.
Yeah.
But it was live action, because my favorite DC cartoon is Teen Titans.
Yes.
Not Teen Titans Go, yes. For the little one. Not right. Teen Titans Go.
The kids love it. The adults, we are.
I'm straight up.
We love our young people, and we tolerate them because of that. But it's not for us. The kids love it.
My little one won tickets to see Teen Titans Goes to the Movies.
Is it painful for you?
It was so. It was Slade.
I really had high expectations, and I was kind of like, okay, they're going to do something different with this. And I saw the outtakes and
I love
promo.
Beast Boy, because Beast Boy be getting some like Beast Boy's albums.
Oh, what?
Beast Boy needs a record deal.
Look, what did he say? I won't be catching villains. That track was unnecessarily dope. Like that, they could have sold that track to Drake or Kendrick Lamar or anybody, and they could have ran with it and made it, but they put it on the show, and that was.
It's fine.
That's why I had hopes.
I had, because the show has got cute little, I like the cyborg. I like,
Speaking of which, do you like the new the Teen Titans series, this latest one? That just kind of.
So that's on the DC Universe streaming service. So what I did was wait until the end, almost the end, and then I signed up so I could watch all of them for free, because I'm done paying for all these streaming services.
I did not think of that.
And
I did not think of that.
The beginning was a little rough, because there was a lot going on. And Starfire was speaking Russian, and it was just a lot, but it was well done. So I think they're trying on the small screen to see what works.
Yes.
And then hopefully they can bring these ideas to the big screen, because Gotham is amazing. And what is the one? Flash is pretty decent. And, I watch a lot of the stuff on the CW. They're doing a great job. It's just something happens when I'm paying my $14 for a movie ticket where they can't get their shit together.
A movie for $14 in 3D IMAX. I want to go to that.
You go in the morning. So what happens is, color people time. We have to get up. We got to get up before church. You go. I go to. I got 3 of us.
You do brunch in a movie.
Exactly 3. I got 3 people I'm buying tickets for. So you get up in the morning. We get to the IMAX 3D at at the movie theater. Get there before 11:45, and you can get it.
You can save some money.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Because because you're over on the other side. So yeah, all the movie theaters, and if you buy through your app on your phone, you can get a deal. Sometimes they'll take $5 off your tickets if you go early.
I'm gonna have to get on. But that's a very, very astute delineation between what they're doing with the series, because I really like what they were doing with the Titans live action series. There was a lot of controversy around Starfire, and I think because of the way that I think their PR people need to find other work, because the way they allowed that to fester and not be addressed. I mean, yes, there was definitely racism involved in that in a way that was very ugly and very blatant. But at the same time, if the only thing you see about one of the most cosplayed female characters out there, Starfire, for black women, because man, she's a
very
loved character.
popular, yes.
And a very well-defined character. If the only thing you see is a woman in this mink, coat with like this kind of a, I don't want to call it a hooker dress, but it was very.
But at the time, we didn't know she was going to a Russian party.
No idea.
And so it was.
So they should have done a much better job with that. But once you see it, and if you haven't seen it, you definitely should.
It's worth the buy.
It does come together. Her acting is brilliant. I think that if they were to allow this iteration of Starfire to be the Starfire that makes it into the movies, whether you use Anna Diop or not, I think it would be successful.
Well, even the way that a big part of what we do in the cosplay world, I'm so grateful to see the hair be authentic to Afro hair. We are finding kinky hair in all the colors, and it is exciting, because sometimes wearing those little
Starfire and
she had
Domino
Starfire had the kinky hair in the TV show, and that she had that orange hair just flowing every time she got mad, and it was well done. So that's one thing I do love about Blerdcon, because I never thought about being Sailor Moon with braids. And have these little girls wandering up to me like, you're Sailor Moon and you got hair like me. And I was like, you can do whatever you want. I said, I didn't even have to put this hair in. I could just put it on and just be like, here's my costume. And we see these normalized images because, racism. But we can take anything. That's the good thing about our people. We can take anything, spin it, hook it up, put nothing on it, and it's amazing. We can make everything beautiful.
Think about what you just said, and just kind of expand out from that, and that is the mission of Blerdcon. Because one thing that we have to remember, and I say this in every meeting when we kind of get off on tangents because there's so much open to us, is that this has to be a nerd convention. Black nerds love nerd culture just as much as anyone else. We don't like the fact that we're not represented, and we don't like the fact that we're not, included in a lot of ways in our fandoms. But that doesn't mean we're not fans.
That is true.
We are just as much into, Dragon Ball Z as anybody else. We're just as much into cosplay. We're just as much into DC, Marvel, you name it, gaming. So when we start talking about a convention in the same way you're talking about cosplay, I said, well, if we're all nerd fans, right, and we all love to play video games, and we love playing retro cabinet games, and we love cosplay contests and panels and everything that are kind of currently components of the con space, how do we put that black nerd top spin on the ball and reserve it in such a way that still is that defined item? It's still a panel, it's still a gaming tournament, it's still a cosplay contest, but has a very defined, black nerd personality. So you have, for instance, the barbecue,
right?
Which, by the way, hits all black people right in the 23andMe, which sits right about here under the rib cage.
I gotta get some.
It is when we debuted it at Greater Philly Comic Con. And we started talking about it. And, I'm telling people, all the guests, I'm talking about the 24-hour gaming room. By the way, it's a 24-hour convention. We don't shut down.
They do not shut down.
We do not shut down.
Blurs After Dark. Blurs After Dark.
Yeah. So, so we got a lot to talk about in the pitch. And then I hit them with we're doing a barbecue. And then all of a sudden, people would leave from the table. They would go tell their friends, bring them to the table, and say, hey, they're doing a barbecue.
Yep.
And there's a convention around it, and it became the barbecue was like the thing that just really, you would tell a black person that we're having a barbecue. You could tell them we're having a brunch, and they would go, oh my God, they're really doing something new.
So the barbecue was so much fun, and so
it was crazy.
It was hot, so it was a little hot. It's not our fault, but just do not pick that day to be Black Widow.
However, this year we are going to have the water fans, those outdoor fans.
Yay.
The city of Arlington and the Crystal City Bid are working with us.
That's excellent.
Yes, they are totally bought in, and they want it to succeed. They love our use of outdoor spaces, so they're going to be bringing some of the really cool stuff, and that will be, no pun intended, one of the things.
Barbecue was important. That was awesome. The brunch was awesome. What was it? Quirktastic, sponsored last year.
Yep.
That was a great experience to have people, because so I hate to say it, cosplayers are very, we as humans, we don't necessarily want to talk to people. It's a group of introverts dressed up in costumes. So a lot of people aren't really used to socializing. So it was really cool to see people speak to people. We're having a meal. We had to break bread because there was no assigned seating. So it's like, oh, can I come sit here? And it's like, tell me about your costume. Did you build that? Yeah, I built it. And then it opened up a whole conversation. What's your Instagram? And the next thing you know, you're following these people on Instagram. Then you're texting with these people on Instagram, and we're building community. And there are all these little hubs that exist on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. Like right now, we're still in February. I hope this airs soon. But, we're still in February. We got 28 days of Black cosplay happening. And, Ava DuVernay was one of the first people on Twitter this year. She's like, it's my favorite month. It's Black History Month, and it's 28 days of Black cosplay. And it's like, yes, that's an awesome plug. So Black cosplayers are getting their shine. Every cosplayer is important. Let me say that for all of my listeners of all backgrounds. I love everybody. But my spirit gets happy when I see people who are feeling comfortable enough in their skin to do what they do. And as the little black girl who was weird, because I used to watch Doctor Who, and no one understood, and that was like... Even
amongst nerds, a young black woman watching Doctor Who is an oddity.
And I started when I was...
That's an older person's game.
Yeah, I started watching with my mom. My mom thought I was asleep, and I was laying behind the sofa on the floor watching Doctor Who when she was watching it. And so now, to watch the inclusion on that show... And all of it's like, look at that, there's black people in Great Britain. Because you don't see that on TV. On PBS, on Are You Being Served, for years, you never saw African-American people. Well, black people, people of color. And now it's like, oh, wow, look at all these shows. So it's pretty interesting, and I'm excited. So I have a question for you. What else do you have going on? Do you have anything you want the listeners to know about?
Well, I think the idea for Blerdcon, and the ideal for me, is that Blerdcon will sit on the calendar for 3 days as a culminating event that represents 362 days of other activities that build up to it.
Okay.
So we're constantly looking for opportunities to go and partner with and build new events and spaces, because for nerds, you have to understand that the con space that might be weird for other people coming in, looking around like, what's going on? This is actually our normal space. The actual cosplay, the mask that we put on, happens when we go to work or the family reunion or church or anywhere.
Pretty much.
That is, air quotes, normal. It's in the con space where we feel most ourselves. So there really is no limit on how much of that space you could provide someone. It's just a matter of variety and scaling and finance. So, we're doing, we're participating in other conventions. Just like you were saying at the beginning of the podcast, there are other conventions that have helped Blerdcon come through. And I'm talking about Otakon, and I'm talking about AwesomeCon and Tidewater and other con runners who've been doing this for decades, and organizations that have really helped us be successful, who are looking at us having success in bringing certain guests and programming that is relevant to the Black nerd community, and then are taking bolder steps in their own conventions to book Black nerd guests and do Black nerd programming and more diversity programming.
Yay.
And we don't want to take sole responsibility for it, but I feel like there was this idea of, well, is there a market for this? And when they see an entire convention, which, and I'm not patting myself on the back, this is really the response of the community, for a convention to start off on its first year having 1,800 attendees is not heard of. That's not normal. That was roughly 3 times what the average convention would do in its first year. And then for us to double that from year 1 to year 2 is also very rare. And we're expecting to redouble that for year 3. So all of your other conventions, if you start to see them become a little bit more diverse, a little bit browner in their programming and their guests, and the representation and the inclusion is there, there are discussions happening behind the scenes between us and other conventions and other spaces. So when we say KatsuCon, when we say MagFest, and we say AwesomeCon, and we say MomoCon and Otakon, they are partners with us on a lot of things, and so you'll see us around.
Okay.
Yeah. So the next big thing for us, we'll be at the Alfred Street Baptist Church. Now, this is airing after the event, but this is a college fair for HBCUs, and we're participating in that, and we've got a representation table and all that good stuff. But then we'll be in the con space doing cool stuff.
All right.
So just keep an eye out for us. Follow us on our Instagram. Follow us on our Facebook.
If you can give all that information where people can find you.
Absolutely. www.blerdcon.com. That's Blerdcon. Then, of course, if you just put Blerdcon into the search engine of your favorite social media, be it Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Facebook, we have a group, we have an event, and we have a page. So all of our stuff goes out mainly through social media first. And we do most of our response there as well. And any way that you'd like to connect with us, whatever works best for you, we will meet you where you are.
Vendor space is sold out, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it is sold out. It is another thing that we're trying to get used to, where the interest has been a little bit more advanced and accelerated than we were expecting. So we have expanded so that there would be more space. So we'll be down in the bottom level with some more vendor space there as well. But do not let that, if you are a vendor or an artist or someone who has crafts or things like that, please, please, please feel free to email us. We can get you on the list. If not, getting you in for 2019, you'll be on the outreach list for 2020 so that you'll be able to sign up early and get you in. But it's an amazing group of vendors and artists that come through, and we're hoping to expand on that as well.
Excellent. Also, if you're a content creator and have something of use to talk about for a panel, there are some submission times. I think we have until late March for you to consider.
Submit a panel. We love panels because this is the way that you get to shape your con. We have over 125 panels from year 1 and year 2. That's a lot of content. So please feel free to submit. There's no subject too small. You don't have to be experienced. You don't have to be famous. If you just have a story to tell, if you have a perspective, if you have a group of people that want to tell a story, submit. Just go to the website under panels and you can submit, and we'll be looking at those in March.
Well, sir, it's always a pleasure to see you and talk to you, and thank you for talking about our blerdiness, and you've changed my family's life. Definitely. So no, I appreciate you. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Fabulous Fuckery. I'm your host, Baroness Bree. I hope you emerged fabulously in spite of all of life's fuckery. And you can find me wherever podcasts are downloaded: iTunes, Google, Stitcher. Oh Lord. Himalaya. There's a new app called Himalaya. And my website is baronessbree.com. Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest are all Baroness Bree. Talk to you guys soon.